many of you are looking for money? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna sit down, and it's great to have all of the speakers here today. And before we start the discussion, I'd like to give a chance to each of our speakers to introduce yourself.
Thank you for the introduction. My name is Watana. I'm from Khmer Enterprise. We are a unit under the Ministry of Economy and Finance to provide support to startups, businesses, entrepreneurs through capacity upgrading, seed funding, business networking, and public relations. My division primarily focuses on funding. So we provide grant funding and equity investment. At the same time, in addition to the funding we provide to entrepreneurs, we also provide capacity upgrading through program in order to help them upgrade their capacity, but also the skills in order to use the fund more effectively. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominic Mellor. I work for ADB, the Asian Development Bank. Maybe some of you don't know that ADB actually has a venture capital arm. It's called the ADB Ventures, which we started in 2020. And since then, we have invested in about 50 companies across Southeast Asia and South Asia. So I'm responsible for our operations in Southeast Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolie. My name is Samrat. I'm the Managing Director of Cambodian Investor Corporation. We do the investment, in fact, so we invest into the business. And recently, we just started investing into startup. So hopefully that we can invest more startup. So our investment philosophy is we provide the investment with the support within our community-based financing solution that we can provide to the business. So small and medium enterprise and also startup, and also other potential good potential investment project that also can get return for the investor, because we are the investment platform that we manage the fund of the investor to invest into the business. Okay, so that is about CIC. In shortcut, you can call us CIC. Any business that you need money, just come and talk. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is David. I've lived in Cambodia for 14 years now, and I manage emerging markets consulting. My background was originally in technology. I used to work in telecoms, then a software development startup. I've invested in around 4 or 5 businesses personally in technology, food and beverage, retail, and yeah. EMC, we're a business consulting outfit. We do some work in the technology sector, primarily around digital business models and platforms. We also do a lot of work in traditional business sectors. We tend to work a lot with foreign companies looking to enter the market. We also do quite a lot of work with organizations like ADB, World Bank on business environment stuff. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for all the speakers. I have one burning question that I really want to ask all of them before we start our serious discussion. Can I ask, what's the most interesting thing about you? David.
Not a lot of people know this, but I used to be a violinist. I used to be a violinist.
Oh, okay. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you. How about Bong Samrak?
It's hard to define even myself, but what is a good thing? I think maybe helping people is my best thing ever that I like to share happiness with others.
Dom, please.
I invest as well, and I've made some investments in some companies. I've that I'm very passionate about. Like I'm owner of a craft beer company in Vietnam called Seven Bridges, and we also recently started to supply to Cambodia. So yeah, if some of you like craft beer, then please drink Seven Bridges. I'm also taking this chance to market my own products.
I would consider an episode in my life that would be special is when I spent probably 2 years living in Myanmar, just right before the coup and also the COVID-19. So I traveled back to Cambodia just right before the coup and COVID-19. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting experience. Thank you very much. Okay, I asked this question because I just want to show to you that not all investors are scary. We're not scary people. We're very, really outgoing people. I mean, although we grill you with a lot of questions before we give you money. Let's start with the first serious question. I want to talk a little bit about the overview of the investment landscape, but we're not going over the mainstream discussions, which is what is it like, or like an overview. I have one question for each of you, which is, what are the main barriers? What are the main barriers for investment from your perspectives in Cambodia?
The perception of barriers will change depending on what kind of investor you are, I think, a lot. So hopefully we'll get lots of different answers. We've recently been speaking to a lot of regional institutional investors, VCs, guys like that. So from their perspective, when they look at Cambodia, biggest challenges for them will be overall size of the market. They would look at Cambodian companies and they don't necessarily see a strong track record of exporting products and services outside Cambodia. So they'll look at a Cambodian company through the lens of what is their addressable market here in this country. And Cambodia is relatively small. So depending on the product or service you're making, the overall the size of market could be a big issue. Acquiring human resources, so finding and keeping talented staff typically is considered to be a big challenge in Cambodia, and investors are looking for larger companies, so to deploy more capital. They're really interested to know who you have working for you, what are their incentives for them to go and stay on your growth journey. Also, I think for a foreign investor looking in Cambodia, they don't necessarily see a lot of opportunities. So that can make investing in one or two deals in Cambodia relatively expensive. Also, if you're an internal investor, it can be quite difficult to diversify, right? So realistically, not every investment a guy makes is going to be wildly successful. So usually you want to go and spread the risk by investing in a number of them. And it can be sometimes quite difficult in Cambodia to get diversification because you might not see that many opportunities.
The rest of the speakers, any one of you would like?
Okay, so to be true, investing in startup is very risky for the investor rather than investing in real estate. So that's why most of the investors, they prefer investing in the real estate, more secure, easy, convenient, and not involved with the people. That because of investor mindset and behavior, the startup, they stuck all the way on raising funds from the investor. So we need more VC or other investor from outside of the country to come and also bring other investors to contribute to invest into the startup. Other thing, okay, market is small, but many startups, they inspire that the market of ASEAN is kind of 700 million population or something. But you have, inspiration is good, but you have to be true and on your operation, how you run the business, you treat Cambodia as the base, and you have to survive in the base market itself before you grow up to other to regionally. Um, other other thing that I can think is about the business valuation because mismatch between the investor and startup. So normally when the startup entrepreneur they start a business and then maybe sometimes they just have the proof of concept and they value the business very high. That is not much to the investor perspective. We think the valuation that they seek for the investment. And another thing is about the exit because normally when you invest in something, exit is the most critical challenging for the investor in Cambodia. When you invest in a business, especially into the startup, you have to think how you can get the money back, right? It's not easy. We are not the financial hub like Singapore. So investing in startup, we play in the financial game for sure. But we don't have the financial hub to play the financial game. So that's why when the investor look into the startup deal, they carefully look into the operation and the transaction and also the traction that the startup have made so far and how they survive and how they grow internally in Cambodia first before going regionally. Yeah, other thing maybe related is impatience of investor and startup entrepreneur itself. So running a startup or running your business is a long run way, but investor might need to get their investment very fast. And the startup entrepreneur, they might stuck on the way and they have no will to continue the startup. So this is about the mindset and behavior that we have to think about, both investor and startup entrepreneur, plus other environmental ecosystem that not enough player in the field to support the startup, and also the digital adoption is the rate is very low compared to the average of the Asian country. I think that is the barrier that we have to solve one by one. There are ways to solve it one by one, but we have to think and work together in the ecosystem to solve this barrier. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe my view of Cambodia will be a little bit different from the others from the perspective that I'm a regional investor and I'm not based in Cambodia. And you know, out of the 50 investments we made in the last 3 years, actually one was in Cambodia, only one, but we hope that we can make more. I think that there were 3 reasons I was going to give to the challenges, and actually 2 of them were already covered by David already, and one, you know, the market size for sure, and also difficulties exiting. I completely agree with these 2. So maybe the only one that I would add, and this is just from my limited knowledge of Cambodia because I'm still quite new, it's around the cultural mindset of the entrepreneur and the business owners. Because when you raise investment, you're giving up some control of your business. You're giving up some share of your company to an outsider because you believe that that investor can help your company to grow. But it's not easy for a lot of Cambodians, traditional, not even Cambodia, but I would say in Southeast Asia, it's not easy for a lot of especially traditional family businesses to want to give up the share of their business. They want to continue to control 100%. So really the mindset of someone that's willing to give up some share of their company because they want to have a smaller percentage of a much bigger company tomorrow is not something that maybe comes naturally. And I think this will take time, and it requires some more and more communication and understanding of also when you should take equity and what does an investor bring to your business. So I think this is something that will happen naturally over time, but it's still something that we are encountering as a point of, not a challenge, but something that will take time for each side to understand each other. Thanks.
So would like to share similar views from the other speakers. So I think the main barrier for Cambodia, especially for the investment aspect, is the low number of investable companies. So when we're talking about the capital that is going into Cambodia to make investment, there is a cost that the fund manager will need to pay back to the investor. So because Cambodia is a small country and we are competing with Vietnam, Thailand, which is a very a much bigger country than Cambodia. So that means the consideration of Cambodia as an attractive destination is less attractive from the investor's point of view because they already have this big market in the region. So from our perspective, as an ecosystem builder at Khmer Enterprise, we want to create, plant more seeds through capacity upgrading, but at the same time promote, like Dominic mentioned, the mindset of traditional business that the new generation of the business owner, probably the children of the parents, are now starting to take over the business, that they can be more exposed to the new way of running business, maybe taking inspiration from Thailand or Vietnam. So this is something that we try to do at Khmer Enterprise, is to build the ecosystem to make it more attractive for Cambodia from other investors in the region. And we also act as a catalyst. So in this sense, we provide a catalytic capital through grant funding, for example, that entrepreneurs, startups, and business can use it to improve their enterprise or to upgrade their capacity before they accept the investment. So then the risk is lower and the investors also find it more attractive to invest in Cambodia as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, I took some notes, and I've got a lot of challenges that are expressed by our speakers, from the market to the lack of talents, tech talents, which is the main theme of our discussion today, the mismatch expectation, the risks, the exits, the cultural mindsets, the sizes of the companies, investables companies that are limited. So there are a lot of challenges, but I want to ask a question that I think will probably resonate with a lot of people here, which is, how do you pick investments? Let me give a bit of context. In order for investors to decide on one or two investments, usually they look at whether the team are capable, they look at the business model, is it scalable enough, is it profitable, are there risks, are there uncertainties in investing in those businesses, the size, the valuation, and all these, right? But since our speakers are from different organizations, government organizations, some of them are from, you're from ADB Venture, we've got CIC, and we've got Emerging Market Consulting. What are the main priorities? Let's say we all know that these are the criteria, but what are the main priorities for you in order for you to decide on any investment? It can start from any of you, maybe Bong Samrat first, or or Dom, or...
Yeah, so there are three things that we look for. The first, of course, is the commercial return, because you can't invest in a company if you don't believe the company will succeed and scale commercially. And then the second for us is the impact, because we are a development bank. So the main impact that we focus on is climate impact, which means any technology or solution that can drive efficiencies in sectors like agriculture, for example, reducing the use of land, water, improve productivity. And the third important factor is that ADB has to be able to provide some additionality, something extra to the company that complements what other investors are providing to the company. Because it's not just about money, it needs to be smart money. So often when we invest in a company, we consider, can ADB help in terms of our networks to help the company connect to new customers, new financiers, particularly if a company has ambitions to expand outside Cambodia to other regions. And maybe that's where sometimes our networks across the region can be very useful for companies when they make that step. So these are the three factors. It's commercial, which I think is anyway correlated with impact, because unless a company does well commercially, you can't generate impact, and then what our value is added to the company.
So for us, because we are the government arm of the unit of the Ministry of Economy and Finance, So the way we look at investment is from, I think we have two tiers of investment. So the first one is the ecosystem side. So that means we are looking at the idea and business model in the priority sectors that we focus on. So the end goal is to generate more value at the economy. So let's say, for example, in the agricultural space. So we're looking to support entrepreneurs who are converting raw materials into at least semi-finished product or at most finished product, so that there is more value add in the economy. So that is how we look to support entrepreneurs or businesses in general. But at the same time, we also try to focus on the commercial return as well. So what that means is by using this metric, we know we can pinpoint the kind of entrepreneurial businesses that can be more sustainable, but at the same time, our value of money is also more effective in that sense. So it doesn't mean that although we are from the government, we also focus on the risk and return, just like a commercial investor. But we tend to take more risk and we try to go first because we would like to plant more seeds in that sense. And we also focus more on helping a higher number of SMEs or businesses in general compared to traditional or commercial investors in the field. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think every investor look for the commercial viable for sure, or the business. For us, the first priority is people because we focus on the entrepreneur itself and also the team of the entrepreneur. At the end of the day, every business is run by people. So if we can deal with a great people that can bring the business model to the market, I think this is what we are looking for. Second thing is about the future of the business industry. When we invest into the business, especially to the startup, we look at carefully into which industry is growing, what is the trend of industry, and when we invest along the way, how much time that we can spend into the business that can commercialize their product within the industry trend that can fit well into their business model. And of course, in CIC, one more thing is about ethical business. We invest only in ethical business only. Yeah, so other thing I think is a very common for the VC that they are look into the business, compliant, whatever, and so on.
Oh my God, that's loud. Yeah, I guess I would, of all the answers, I would most closely identify with what Samrak just said. I mean, in no particular order, there needs to be a clear product market fit in the lingo, so the entrepreneur needs to have a clear understanding of what problem there is in the current market and how his product or solution or her product or solution will solve that. Obviously, it needs to be a reasonably large market, and a growing market. Growing markets help relieve the burden of competition. It's a lot more difficult to compete in a market that is shrinking or not growing at all than it is to compete in a market that's growing a lot. But most important for me, it really comes down to the entrepreneur. So, and I'll be like really specific. I mean, if at a personal level or at a business level, when we're looking at investing in a business, it's the quality of the entrepreneur is the most important, and then the issue of sector and market and so forth comes afterwards. We tend to go and think that a successful entrepreneur is probably going to be successful irrespective of what their product or service is, or rather, it's the most important feature. Personally, I would like to see an entrepreneur who has actually a professional track record. Ideally, somebody who's worked in a reputable corporate environment in a position of managerial responsibility. They know how to hire staff, manage staff, incentivize staff. That's mirroring Samrak's comments earlier about staff being the most important. And they've been involved in making decisions. Because as an entrepreneur, you need to make a lot of decisions very quickly throughout the course of your startup journey. So, yeah, I tend to look for people who are probably minimum of 5 years and probably longer experience in a good corporate environment in Cambodia.
Thank you very much, all speakers. I took some notes, and can I kind of summarize a little bit? Am I right to say for Khmer Enterprise that if you have a business that are in infrastructure, manufacturing, and a business that you are able to bring raw materials into, you to put into some goods or products that can be sold in the market, you can get support from Khmer Enterprise. Is that right to say? Right, and for ADB Venture, you're looking for a business that has social impact, and that could also, in addition to impact, you look also at commercial returns. And at the same time, they also want to be unique provider of money, not just the financial itself, but something like value add, something that only ADB itself can provide to the business. And for CIC, of course, you're looking for something critical, something that could disrupt the market, but something that could also bring commercial returns, and something that is led by capable team or capable people. So this kind of sums up on the overview of the investment landscape. On to the next talking point or discussion. I want to touch on the future outlook of the investment. And I have a specific question for ADB, actually. I read in the report that ADB just published, which is called Cambodia's Ecosystem for Technology Startups. That was published in June 2022. And you focused on 4 areas in that report, which are kind of the future sectors. One is agri-tech, second is ed-tech, third is health tech, and the last one is green tech, or clean tech. So something like renewable energy or technology solutions for agriculture, irrigation, and all these that could be game-changing. So I want to ask you, are they the main priority sectors for you right now and in the future?
For Cambodia specifically. First, I think I wanted to say that I think it's too narrow in Cambodia just to focus on technology businesses. So I think for Cambodia, we would have a broader definition of how technology can be incorporated into business models. So for example, we're also very interested in more traditional agricultural businesses. Because when I'm in Cambodia, I see amazing products and services in the tourism sector, in the manufacturing sector, agri-food processing. And often you find that the really good products, in the back end of the business, these companies have imported or integrated technology, innovation to improve the product quality, the product efficiency, but the product itself is not technology. So I think when you broaden it like that, then I see a lot of potential in Cambodia, particularly in food and agriculture. Of course, in areas like green technology, fintech, we are interested, and there may be opportunities in Cambodia, but I think it would be too narrow just to focus only on those areas.
Thank you very much. And for the rest of our speakers, what sectors do you have the highest hope of investing from today onward to the future? I can start from Bong Samrak or
I can start first. So I think in terms of the sector that we think is the future, but also it's also in line with the mandate that we get from the ministry, is the first one is agriculture. So as we know, we are experiencing more climate change impacts on our everyday lives. And as you can see, the war in Ukraine also impact the cost of food. So I think going forward, agriculture is going to be a very promising area that investors should also give a serious look into investing. But also the government side also has to support more. And from the previous work that we have done so far, probably around more than 50% of all the beneficiaries or grantees that we support are from agriculture or agro-processing. So this is something that we want to keep in our pipeline so that in the future, if they can grow further with our support, also on top of the funding that we're going to provide them, can ensure a sustainable and stable supply of food in Cambodia as well. So that is one. The other sector is manufacturing. As we know, Cambodia tried to use the import from neighboring countries to also boost more export to the outside world as well. So one way of trying to connect the work that we have done in the agricultural space is to provide more support in the manufacturing or processing of these agricultural products in order to export to overseas market, but at the same time to substitute the import in Cambodia as well. So these are the two sectors that we think are very promising, and fortunately we have done a lot of work to support all these entrepreneurs, businesses in this sector as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonsamrak or David, do you have any perspectives on this?
I mean, I don't know whether we'll end up investing in it because it's quite capital intensive, but I think logistics is probably a great sector that should grow, and there's a lot of opportunity for disruption in Cambodia. Currently, logistics in Cambodia isn't very effective. Essentially, it's a kind of real estate play. If you're fortunate enough to own land outside Phnom Penh, you build a warehouse on it and call yourself a logistics company. And then you try to get some guys with construction materials or the garment sector to leave stuff in your warehouse for as long as possible. That's not really how logistics works. Logistics is highly operationally sophisticated, and your value proposition for your customers is to move stuff as quickly as possible, not as slowly as possible. I think there's tremendous scope for value addition in logistics services, from simple stuff like packing, labeling, testing services, all the way through to more complex stuff like direct store delivery. And hopefully, with the better infrastructure coming into place, export markets for agriculture opening up, it will be a sector where we see a lot of activity over the next few years. That's my hope.
Okay, so we still stick on our priority industry that we are thinking of. We call it FAST. So first is finance, so it's finance related industry, agriculture related industry, service industry, and technology industry. So I think it probably covers most of it, but we are not investing in the heavy manufacturing or something because it's higher investment cost. So that's why. But most of the, especially for the tech, I think the research from ADB is makes sense that agri-tech, ed-tech, health-tech, and clean-tech. But I would rather focus for the moment, agri-tech should go first, because we will have a lot of reform in the agriculture sector for sure, because we claim ourselves as an agriculture country since long time ago. But we need maybe cost efficiency, or we need to rearrange the supply chain and infrastructure. So everything that we need to do, we need to embed the tech into the agriculture, that we can have the cost efficient and compete with other countries, even the export, or even supporting to the light manufacturing or food processing industry. And also we think that we need to reframe our agriculture a little bit into like one region, one product, or something that we have scale, so we can utilize technology as a tool to support agriculture, and we grow from there. That is my perspective within this several years onward. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the speaker's response. So you heard it today from the speakers that the future sectors are fintech or financial industries. Another one is agriculture or agro processing. Another one is manufacturing. And the last one is logistics and services. And I think COVID that happened for 2 years have shown or have proved to us that whatever happens to our world, we still need food. That's why agriculture is very important. No matter what happens, logistics is a key factor because we still need things delivered to our house. And in terms of the financial technology, it's also very important. We need to make payment no matter what happens, even if we still stay at home, and also the manufacturing. So before we start the next point of discussion, I have one last question, which I think maybe some of you also have these questions too. What are the mistakes that they make? What are the mistakes that they make when they come to you for money? Can start from, yeah, sure, Dom.
I would never put myself in a position where I feel like I'm lecturing to founders and
Yeah.
company business owners, because they're some of the smartest people I ever meet, and they will know their business, their product much better than me. What I would say is that when we look at companies that we've invested in that have done well, and companies we've invested in that haven't done well, and companies that we almost invested but we decided maybe not to, often it came down to the team dynamics. And of course there are many different businesses. So if you're a startup and you're just starting your own team, then the most important decisions that you'll be taking will be who's going to be a co-founder, who you're going to set up this business with. And often, sometimes people rush into that decision, but it's so important and to really think about, do you guys as a group or individuals have a common vision on where the company may be? Because things may be good in the early stages, but then you start to encounter issues later when you realize that you didn't share a common vision. So I think, I'm not calling it a mistake, but one of the issues that often founders face a few years in is just realizing that maybe there are some insurmountable cracks in the relationship with the other business partners that they hadn't thought through everything when they first started it. And then for more established businesses like a family business, sometimes the challenge for those owners is giving up control and delegating and bringing new people into the business that can add value to the business, and trusting that person, that's not easy as well. So again, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but the ability to bring in talent and trust that talent is something that also is not easy, but is very important if some of these businesses want to go to the next level. Thanks.
Thank you, Dom. Bonsam, anything you want to tackle to start founders?
So, I don't think they make a mistake. Maybe in somehow they just don't aware of what they are doing. Maybe one of the thing is they might lose a focus on what they are doing. Sometimes they got a lot of idea, opinion, whatever that they can get from many people. So they try to diversify or maybe try a new product, just only one opinion only, that maybe they lose the core of the product that they have to bring to the market. So for the startup entrepreneur, if you think that your product is really a great product to the market, you have to focus on the core. But while focusing on the core of the product, you need a time commitment. Because sometimes you cannot make money quickly within the core product, and then you just go around of the core the product just to get the money to survive. It's not a mistake, because you also want to survive. But most of the time, when you go around of the core of your product, you forget the core. And then you just enjoy living with the subordinated product that you generate the income easily just to survive for the short term. So focusing to the core product and focus it's easy to say, but it's hard to do. Every time when I meet with the startup entrepreneur, what is your core product? So why you diversify so much? So within a platform, how many products you have? So what is the core? So they need to focus on the core. Other thing that we can see in the startup entrepreneur, they have a great idea, they develop the product, but they do not know how to commercialize the product in the market. Maybe they don't have the team to do the market research properly. So that's why they just go with their own idea just to create the market. But in somehow create the market in Cambodia is not easy. But if you have the product available in the big market, might be easier for the startup entrepreneur to take into the product market fit. Yeah, I think it is related. One more thing is commitment and will. So for the startup itself, you know, it's a long and hard journey. Time commitment is really important, and don't go to every network. Just selected network that you think that can support well to your startup journey. Thank you.
Can we go to CIC networking events?
It depends. It depends. If you think that it's a great for you to join, you can come. If you think other event that it fit well to yourself, go to it. Because we don't say that our event or KE event or maybe the Joe startup event is good and fit well to the startup entrepreneur. You startup entrepreneur, you have to define yourself. What do you need to grow your startup? And what kind of network that you want to stabilize and grow your startup sustainably?
Thank you very much, Monsamrak. Watanak, do you have anything to add or?
Yes, I think I also echo the other speakers' comment as well. I would not consider as a mistake, but something that the founder probably have to reconsider again in terms of their focus. So as an organization who provide funding to entrepreneurs, some of the time they try to raise a lot of financing that they don't necessarily need. Maybe they think it's a validation that the business is doing well, but I think the focus should be on the customers. So if they raise a lot of money, probably the investor may see something that the business is going to work, but at the same time, if you raise too much money and you do not know how to use that money effectively, that can be challenging and that can be problematic downstream impact in the future for your business. So I think the overlooked aspect of this is that they should focus more on refining their products or services for their customers, not for the investors. It is good to raise money from the investors, but they also have their own agenda. I think the entrepreneur's agenda is to have great products or services in the market, and the good validation metric is from the customers. If they are selling more, that means their business is more valuable. Not necessarily if they raise a lot of money. So something they should focus on more. I think this is probably the overlooked aspect that I see in some SMEs or startups that we have worked with. Yeah.
Thank you, Watana. I mean, we hear a lot of complaints from startups which say, I can't do this yet because I need money. And then when I go to you for money, you don't give me money. How am I able to do it? So it's like chicken and egg thing, right? But I think entrepreneurs need to remember that they need to pass one important test, which is, are they able to bootstrap? Are they able to show us that they are committed enough to their startup, to their idea, to their business, to a point in which that they deserve the money that they're asking for? But I'm talking from investors' point of view because I work in investment, but I'm for you. I'm on your side too. Okay, So this is the second point of our discussion. Let us move on to the last point, which is the digitalization and demographic development. And I hear again and again on this panel, we talk about tech talents, we talk about the team. The team is an integral part of your criteria. Tech talents are lacking in our society, the lack of capacity, the tech skills. So I have a question for all of you, and this is a macroeconomic question, and then starting from there, we're going to drill down to micro. So let's talk about demographic development and digitalization. I want to understand from your perspectives if and how technology and digitalization disrupt the labor market, if and how. Let me give a bit of context. It is known that Cambodia is a young population, but recent data show from the UN, from ADB's classification of countries, that we're in fact aging. We're aging, which means that we're no longer young like we used to be. The population that are 65 and over are increasing, probably because of low infertility rate, of increased life expectancy. So in a way, we're maturing. There's demographic evolvement to a more older, older, more mature population. And so, do you see it as a challenge? Do you see it as a challenge for digitalization and ways forward in our effort?
I don't see it as a big challenge, I guess, for two reasons. In terms of our demography here in Cambodia, even 20 years from now, we'll have a smaller population of over 65 than, for example, Indonesia does today. So if you want to look at a ASEAN country which is aging quite rapidly, then look at Thailand, right? But we're going to stay quite young for quite some time. Not as young as we are now, but still pretty young. And if you look over the next, say, 20 years or so, that will actually benefit Cambodia. If you assume that in any labour force, the most productive members of the population, the workforce, are aged somewhere between, say, 35 and 55, so they're not retired, but at 35 years old, they have a lot of experience, right? So that's typically considered to be the most kind of productive age in a labour force. So at the moment, that cohort, and I apologise to everybody aged between 35 and 55, which includes me, incidentally, but at the moment in Cambodia, that age cohort is not particularly digital savvy at all, and yet they're the people who are making decisions around how to deploy money, how companies are run, how policy is formulated. But over the next 20 years, there'll be the younger generation in Cambodia who start making those decisions, who start running those companies, and the guys who are between 20 and 30 years old now, they are digital savvy, and they're a lot more educated. They understand how to use technology a lot better. So actually, I think over the next 20 years, the current demography of Cambodia will actually benefit the country. It will contribute to faster rates of digitalization.
Thank you, David. I see that Dom is.
I was going to say I agree with David. I think it's more an opportunity than a challenge, because actually the more developed economies, like my mum lives in London in the UK, and I think Japan is facing some similar challenges. The population is quite old, and many of the older people in these developed countries are not technology savvy. So for example, I have to actually pay a lot of my mum's car fines because the UK government roll out all these like innovative ways to like monitor whether people are driving too fast. And you can actually go online and register and digitize the process of paying fines. But my mum doesn't know how to do that, and my grandmother doesn't know how to do that. So even though it's meant to be there to help them, they struggle. But if you look at Cambodia now, the people that will be 60, 70 years old in 20 years' time or 30 years' time, many of them are more technology savvy. So actually it's going to create, they say there's going to create a whole new economy now. It's going to be called I think it's called the silver economy, right? It's basically the technology for older people, how you can make life more comfortable, health services, insurance, all of that's going to be completely transformed. A lot of these sectors like health, insurance are still very traditional. But as people get older that are more technology savvy, we see a lot of potential to disrupt and reform those sectors as well.
Okay. Any of our speakers tend to disagree, or you guys are on the same page? I see Watanat.
I think we're on the same page, and from our experience, the business owner who are probably over 50, although they are not digitally savvy, but if we have the necessary resources to provide to them, they are more willing to adopt it. So for example, during COVID-19, we had businesses pitching from probably Mondulkiri or Stung Treng province. And we told them you had to prepare a slide presentation. And what they did was probably send us a Microsoft Word document. And we need to paste it into PowerPoint slides. So that was the challenge. But again, we could see the commitment, but their willingness to be able to use digital to get support from Khmer Enterprise. And they also asked their nephews to set up a Zoom meeting for them as well. And they use their mobile phone to conduct their presentation. And that shows that they are willing to use digital resources to get support. I think the opportunity is to provide more resources and the means for them to adopt this digital innovation that they can improve their businesses.
Thank you. Mong Samrat, yes?
Yeah, so I think if we think it's a challenge, it will be a challenge. So if we think it's an opportunity, it will be the opportunity. Because every view have a different mindset that they are positive or negative. And for the entrepreneur itself, I think if they treat it as an opportunity, they just find the way that they build a technology or maybe easy app that they also can introduce to the older people and get money from them, because they have a lot of money. For the young people, you don't have a lot of money than older people. But why don't you play a role that you introduce an easy way that the older people can use, and they get inspired by the simple way and get to adopt other technology. But if we look at the digital adoption in Cambodia, so the rate is still low, but the center of the digital adoption is in the age between 18 to 34, so 70% accounted to the overall digital adoption. So we still have the opportunity to teach the older and educate the younger to play a very active role in the digital way of digital adoption or transformation. Even the company that they also can use the digital to transform their operation as well. But I know the change is hard. Even our company, during the COVID time, last 2 years, we started implementing the digital transformation. Our team is young, like around 23 or something, but still hard. We know this is the challenge, but they have the commitment, as Watanat said. They have the commitment. So he can prove that older have that commitment. So for the young people, they have more commitment to involve in the digital already. So the challenge is now, but maybe it's not for next 20 years. Maybe you want to mention that older will die or something, I don't know. But but in the next 20 years, it might be easier, but we have to start from now. So we start to communicate, we start to educate the people how to adopt to the technology and digital world. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, we hear a lot from our speakers today. Everyone have their unique idea. I have one last question before we wrap up this discussion, and then I'm going to open the floor for a few questions. I am told that we have a little bit of time. My next question is that now we've got policymakers sitting here, right? We've got the government organizing this. And I want to hear from you. Right now, there are CADT, there are training centers in techs, there are efforts in increasing tech talents in Cambodia. What more do we have to do? Are there something that we haven't done and we should do? Like, what do you think? Sorry, this is not prepared question.
Yeah.
This is a follow-up.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I'm looking at it from a regional perspective. I'm not familiar with all the programs in Cambodia, but I'd like to give an example of what I saw in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, there was actually a really interesting startup we looked at called Binar Academy that provided a service to improve the digital technological skills of the population, but actually without any government support. It was just a startup set up by founders that saw this as a huge market opportunity in Indonesia, that there was an undersupply of the people with the right skills for the corporates to recruit. So they had a really interesting business model. They're generating success fees from corporates that are paying them to match and improve the skills of the workers of the companies. And yeah, we were very close to investing in them, but unfortunately we didn't. But actually the company is doing...
Why? Why didn't you invest in them?
What, is this on video? No.
It's okay.
Well, no,
it's
no.
okay.
I mean, we really like the team, but actually our investment committee knocked it back. But maybe there was, because I think their impact was more on the gender impact and the education impact, but we are a climate impact fund, so it was probably just a slight misalignment in terms of our social economic impact indicators. But as a company, their company is doing really well, and they've gone on to raise. They were seed stage when we saw them. They raised Series A, $5 million of funding, and they're growing and doing really well. But anyway, the reason I mention this example is that there may also be purely private sector solutions to this problem. It doesn't always have to be just the public sector. So I guess as the government, you can also have a look at like how to work with the private sector or how to attract these types of companies to Cambodia as well. Thanks.
Great. It's a great example of a disruptive company which is making a difference, which is increasing tech talents. Anything else from our other speakers, or are we okay here? Okay, cool. So I'm going to open the floor for questions, and if you have questions, please raise your hand, and then our organizing committee can come to you with a microphone, and at the same time, meanwhile, I think our speakers can just take a sip of water. Any of you want to use the restroom? No, I'm kidding.
Thank you. I'm Ponyarat. Thank you for the session. I learned a lot from the panels here. My question was is going about the future investment, which is related to the green finance, because currently the new dynamics of the investment I saw in ASEAN, they just released the green or fair finance, that they are looking at the performance, both performance of the investor and also the fund recipient. Is it a kind of create more complexity for you guys to review the business that you are going to provide the fund? Because you will create a lot of criteria whether the business, let's say, they operate and affect to the environment, human rights, social aspect, and as startup, a lot of chaotic, and we need to think about a lot of things, how startup get the complexity of that kind of the investment in the future? Thank you.
Do you want me to reframe the question or? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, so no, thanks. That's a really good question. Actually, what people often confuse is between ESG investing and green impact investing. They're actually slightly different. So ESG investing, and there's a lot of money now in the world that's going towards ESG investing, means that you invest in companies that will not do harm to the environment, or they will not do harm to the social economic situations, or they adopt good governance structure. So actually, almost any business can be ESG, even if they are not green. Yeah, like and there is a lot of ESG investment now that's becoming available because for large Japanese banks, Korean banks, European financial institutions, their shareholders are putting pressure on them that they want the company to be ESG compliant. Then what you were talking about, green impact, that's slightly different. There are also investors that want their money to go to the class of assets that are driving improved environmental outcomes or reducing the CO2 emissions. There is also more and more money now in that area too, because as you see, even last week in Egypt, the COP, there's a lot of commitment from the government, from the corporates to green their supply chain in Asia. And actually for me, in our funds, when we raise funds, we see the trend in Europe and in Asia that more and more investors want to invest in these green funds. What does that mean for Cambodia? I mean, I think, again, we talked about the high potential for agriculture in this country. So actually agriculture and climate and green, they are almost overlapping 100%, because if you want to really grow and be efficient and productive, you also need to have efficient agriculture and clean agriculture. Can you manage the natural resource, reduce the rate of deforestation, improve the efficiency in which you use the land and the water to grow the product? I think in this area, there's a high potential to mobilize green financing to Cambodia. Thanks.
Do we answer your question? Yes. Thank you. We have a bit of time for one or two more questions. Yes.
Yes, thanks for meaningful presentation from all panelists. So I'm Suchita Toi, I'm the Vice President of Cambodian E-Business Association. So I have two burning questions. So one in regarding to agri-tech and agriculture, because most of our members, they are working at grassroots level. So I'm wondering whether from Khmer Enterprise, from ADB or from CIC, how many percentage that you invest with community like agricultural corporation? Because normally they don't really have a legal registration. So are you working with them as well, and to what extent? So it's my first question. And the second question that I have in mind, because you link up to the green business, because in some provinces that I visit recently, so we really want to combine the agribusiness and ecotourism. So how you look at these two combinations, and how investment it can be taken to this kind of initiative? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Responding to your first question, I think most of the grant funding that we provided to the entrepreneurs in the agricultural space is more than 50%. So during COVID-19, we supported more than $1 million to around 100 plus startups and SMEs in Cambodia. And we mostly focused on the startups and SMEs, but not agricultural cooperative. So the profile of the support that we provide is directly to the owner and of the businesses, that they only have co-founders or they are running it with their family. But we have other programs that we support agricultural cooperative in which we provide capacity upgrading in probably around a couple of provinces that Khmer Enterprise provided stipends to students in order to work with the agricultural cooperative on the business aspect, so that the agricultural cooperative, the AC, can actually know more about how to run the business, not just on the technical aspect, so that they have more bargaining power, they can get higher price for their products. So responding to your questions, it's more than 50% of the support that we provide to agricultural entrepreneurs. The second point, I think the support that we provide to agricultural companies, but also they also have ecotourism business side of it. It's not that much for now, but I think I can see that the trend is going really well. That the agricultural companies, they also have a new business model where they have their own farm, but at the same time they request some funding for us to upgrade their farm to attract more tourists in order to come to their farm. So we think that this is a good combination, a good revenue stream that it can generate in addition to the agricultural product that they produce, but at the same time they can promote their province, especially in their locale, on how the produce is made, how it is planted. It's a good revenue stream for them on top of the agricultural products that they sell in the market.
So from CIC itself, we didn't work with the agriculture cooperative yet because we think the legal framework might not fit well to our investment philosophy. But maybe we didn't look at the deal carefully. I think that might be. So maybe I can request the investment team to look at how we can look at the deal into the agriculture cooperative. Some might be sizable enough for the investment, and they are ready to get the investment. We don't know. So we are not in the ground yet. But that it's good that you have the proposal that if we work with the agriculture, so what kind of the investment that we made so far. So we met with the registered company for sure. Our investment, we have to invest into the registered business. So any startup that they are not registered yet, I think we can work together and reframe after investment. You have to register. This is for sure. For the green eco and agriculture and ecotourism, we are keen to look into the deal. So any possibility that you can bring the deal to us for the study or due diligence, I think we are happy to look into the deal because in our investment priority, we already put agriculture related into our mandate as well. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for the questions. I don't think we have enough time to take the questions, and I'd like to wrap up this panel. But before I wrap up, I'd like to remind you that if you need to talk to any one of them individually, please feel free to reach out to them after this panel. And last but not least, thank you so much for coming in today and answering questions and engaging in the discussion. And we've touched a lot on the challenges, the barriers in the investment landscape. We also talked about the future outlook of investment in Cambodia and also the issues with the tech talents, which is the main theme of our event. Thank you very much, and I will see you down at the backstage.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please give them another big round of applause for a very fruitful discussion. Before we proceed to the very last speaker of the Cambodia Tech Expo 2022, I would like to ask everyone to wait a few minutes for our team to clear up the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have one more session to hand out the certificate to our sponsor. Please be seated. I would like to invite everyone to proceed to your seat before we proceed to the next session. As the Cambodia Tech Expo 2022 is coming close to an end, I would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Chan Meta Khan, Secretary of State, Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology and Innovation, to come up on the stage, wrap up the Investment and Startup Festival.
Good afternoon, everyone. I won't take you guys longer because I think we had 3 days, full 3 days, conference and expo. I think you guys might be tired as well. So first of all, I just would like to thank our Samdech Prime Minister for endorsing the CTX 2022 as the side event of the ASEAN Summit and related summit. Also, His Excellency Deputy Prime Minister Akhil Sapiecha Onpom Nirot, Minister of Economy and Finance, and His Excellency Senior Minister, Minister of Industry, Science, Technology and Innovation, for their support to make this CTX happen. We don't forget also our sponsors. We have diamond sponsors, we have gold, silver, and bronze sponsor. We would be more than happy next year or next 10 years. Bronze will be upgraded to silver, silver will be upgraded to gold, gold will be upgraded to diamond, diamond will be upgraded to platinum, for example. So we would be happy to organize that kind of event for you guys. This is the role of MISTI as the Ministry of STI in charge of science, technology, and innovation for this kind of promotion for our youth. We need our youth to be aware about technology. We need our youth to take care and to learn technology. Surely, what do you mean by young? If Cambodia is aging now, how do you define the age of young population. You guys are still young. Even you guys are 40 or 50, you guys are still young. Because of, we need to work for our future, our next generation. So we are here to build an ecosystem. Misty is building the ecosystem. Misty is working on the coordination with the line ministries to be here to listen to you guys. Misty is here to try to collaborate with other stakeholders to listen to your concerns. We are here to solve your concerns. We are here to share your concerns and to raise it up to our leaders. Last year, I still remember, I met all the startups around for the first time in October. In October last year, I met you guys, all the startups, the young ones. What I can do for you? I was asking that kind of questions. I still want to do something for you guys. Help us, please help us for building an ecosystem. I was 8 years at the MPTC, at the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, to build a startup ecosystem since 2014 to 2021. Now I'm still working on this. This is what I have promised to you guys, to build a platform, the startup platform, the investment readiness platform for you guys to be scaled up. We need to scale up now. We need a scale up, sorry. Incubation is it takes a bit long now. We need to be scaled up. We need to go regional. We need to go global. We need more investors. But you guys have to be capable of getting at the level of investors. How we can get funding from investors. How we convince investors to invest in your products or solutions. That's why we are here. And after the meeting, I got COVID. So after meeting you guys, 3 days later, I got COVID. This is, I remember, I got data, but it was okay. Before preparing this session, I met all the startups at the factory Phnom Penh. Most all of you raised the concerns of taxation. The point is, I have tried my best to invite His Excellency Kong Vibol to be with you all yesterday afternoon. He just came back from Australia in the morning, stuck in the sky for 1 hour because our President Biden was coming also. And he did come, he was here to listen to your concern. But no one has been asking any question to him related to taxations. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 2019, when we organized Digital Cambodia, he was there also with us. This year, like yesterday, he was with us again. With Lok Chom Teo Chirotha, under Secretary of State of Misty, she will coordinate with GD of taxation. So you guys will have a consultation. You guys will have a dialogue. The startup will have a dialogue with Excellency Kung Vibon to solve taxation issues for startup. Be ready. Okay? Any concerns, he will be there to listen to you guys. He will be there to solve, he will be there to find the solutions on how we are going to promote innovations. We don't want to put taxation as an issue, as a barrier of innovation, of scaling you guys up, of blocking you guys going regional. No, it is not our top objective. Our objective right now, we are going to build a platform. Misty will be there also to coordinate with GD Tax to solve your problem. So you guys won't have any more concerns or questions related to taxation. Second issues, which just have been approved by His Excellency Senior Minister a few hours ago, related the theme of our CTX. CTX is happening with the ASEAN Summit. Same time. We finish the same time. ASEAN Summit theme is ASEAN ACT. ASEAN addressing challenges together through nothing. For us, we focus on through tech talents. Tech talents becoming more and more critical, more and more crucial, not only for the private sector, but also for educational institution. No one is choosing STEM now. The rate of our high school students choosing STEM is going down, while the RGC, the Royal Government of Cambodia, is promoting digital transformations. Enterprise go digital, MSME go digital. We need people. We need more tech talents to be completing the lack of the shortage of our laborers. Electronic and automobile roadmap is being finalized by the Royal Government of Cambodia. Recently, you may hear many news related to automobile industry, electronic industry. Korean investors in manufacturing, in semiconductor manufacturing, is working with MISTI now on how we are going to attract them to Cambodia for the next market for semiconductor manufacturing. We are working on this. But we must be ready also for our young tech talents. His Excellency Senior Minister approved for developing, for preparing the long-term tech talent development framework in line with the long-term strategy for digital economy and society framework. We need a rollout plan to make sure that we would reach the goal of digital economy and society by 2035. This is the role of the Royal Government of Cambodia. This is the role of MISTI with other line ministries, but also it is the role of tech startup. It is the role of private sectors. It is the role of our investors to join hands together to make it happen by 2035. The third point is about collaboration and coordination. You may hear a lot from Mr. Kong Vibol yesterday related to people approach. We need to talk to each other. This event, this platform, allow you guys to meet physically, not via Zoom anymore. We are living in the COVID, in the new normal. We need to meet each other to discuss, to share. I need money, I need funding. We need more innovation for MSMEs. MSME need to be more competitive, need to be more innovative. MSME need to get the access of funding. We have FinTech stage here. This time forum, we would convince the MEF to be with us. The committee to prepare the FinTech policy is with us. We have 3 stages. In this 5 building, we have startup stage, just move from the building F to here, because next we are going to have the farewell party. We have the FinTech stage, which focus on earlier, one question has been raised related to InsurTech, cybersecurity in insurance. InsurTech has been discussed at FinTech stage. We have blockchain topic. We have InsurTech topic. We have the landscape of FinTech policy in Cambodia. So many topics have been discussed at the FinTech stage, the current ones, the updated ones, and the trendy ones. Startup stage, the same thing. You have data center. You have, of course, how to get funding, because it is a topic of the main objective of our platform. How to make our startup to be ready to get funding. We have to go regional now. We need to build a network with the region. Of course, we have the main stage focusing more on the policy and regulatory framework. But we're still working with the private sector, academia, to share perspective, the view on how we are going to address together to build an ecosystem for our tech talents in the future. This is I would like to share with you guys the 3 points, the key takeaway from CTX. For startup, be ready for the first point. Second point and the third point, be ready to work together. Stay with us. We solve the problem together. It's not for us. It's not for you guys, for your children, for your grandchildren, for the next generation. We're looking forward to the Jolie wedding, make more kids, for Cambodian, the next generation of Cambodian. Many couple, in CTX, getting married. Yesterday also. You guys get married, but don't forget also to make kids, okay? Finally, I think I want to be cool, but I cannot because I have another duty to hand over the certificate for our sponsors and our partners. And then we're going to have the farewell party for CTX 2020. And we're going to look forward the next CTX. Our senior minister said next year. So if he said next year, we are going to see you guys all next year. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best success. Be working together closely, join hands together for the future of our tech talents. Thank you.
I would like to ask His Excellency Doctor to still stay on stage and hand out the certificate to our sponsor. Ready? 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 I would like to invite the representative from Viettel Cambodia Pte. Ltd. Medphone to come on stage, please, as our gold sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Krom Hun Ko Setel to come on stage, please, as our gold sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Ed.co Cambodia Co. Ltd. to come on stage, please, as our gold sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Ratakot Tak Swayat Krong Phnom Penh to come on stage, please, as our silver sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Prince Bank PLC to come on stage, please, as our silver sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Phnom Penh Commercial Bank to come on stage, please, as our silver sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Sathapana Bank PLC to come on stage, please, as our silver sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Mobile CNC Cambodia Co. Ltd. to come on stage, please, as our silver sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Huawei Technology Co. Ltd. to come on stage, please, as our silver sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Binance to come on stage, please, as our bronze sponsor. I would like to invite the representative from Khmer Enterprise to come on stage, please, as our bronze sponsor. I would like to invite our event partner, Compass Advertising Co. Ltd. to come on stage, please. I would like to invite the representative from Tube Cafe Co. Ltd. as our event partner to come on stage, please. I would like to invite the representative from Sabai Digital Corporation Ltd. to come on stage, please, as our event partner. I would like to invite the representative from Bongkat Solutions to come on stage, please, as our event partner. I would like to invite the representative from Quantum Engineering and Manufacturing to come on stage, please, as our event partner. I would like to invite the representative from Seal Animation Studio to come on stage, please, as our event partner. I would like to invite all sponsor and event partner to come on stage, please, for the group picture. Now I would like to announce the ending of Cambodia Tech Expo 2022. Thank you so much everyone for being part of it, and please join us the farewell party. I would like to invite all our support team to come on stage, please, for the group picture.